The object of Taxi Chronicles is to allow real riders with real stories share their experience and enhance your life. So sit back and enjoy the journey. Okay, morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have a lovely couple, and one's a journalist in the travel business and the other's a diver. And
he's a photographer, is what his real job is.
And he's a photographer, so that
very
goes.
Good one too.
So we've got like a whole package here. You should have your own YouTube channel, guys.
Which way will you go?
They're there.
So we're just gonna have a friendly chit chat about what it's like being a diver, a journalist, a photographer, and
Going on our first trip for the first time since lockdown.
yes,
I'm
okay,
really excited about it.
Yeah.
Our first holiday.
Yeah.
okay. So furthermore, how did you two meet?
Online.
We met online.
And part of this holiday is to celebrate the 10th anniversary of our first date.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was on
the 29th of
29th of February.
2012.
Yeah.
Was that Tinder?
No.
This is old
eHarmony.
school. This is 10 years
eHarmony.
ago, mate.
Okay.
10 years ago, back when online dating was clockwork.
Yes.
Had to turn pages. No, yeah, we met on eHarmony.
Okay.
And it was really good.
Best move of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, so you came from up north down
No,
here?
I've been in London 30 odd years, nearly 40 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we both made a decision that we wanted. I'd just come out of a big rubbish relationship, and I wanted to be with someone who was a good man. And I looked, and he had various photos, and I couldn't tell if he was a good man or if he was a con man. And I liked the fact that he was a bit of a rogue, and I still like that about him 10 years on.
Okay, that's good. Sorry about that. Let me just mute that.
And you wanted to date a middle-class bird,
Well,
didn't you?
He didn't want to know when.
No, do you know what it was? What I wanted to date somebody out of my normal social circle and also out of my work circle, which was kind of, I photograph, people, so it's actors and models and those sort of things. And I've been dating lots of those kind of people.
Okay, well,
dating some of those type of people, and they were all broke and skint, and I'd never had any money. So I just got fed up with having to support people all the time.
okay. Well,
So
you
he
got a
wanted-
model that's not broke now.
He wanted to date a nice middle-class
Nice
lady
middle-class lady,
who
yeah.
had her own house.
Yes, I wanted somebody who had their own house. Yeah. I wanted to date somebody who had the same as me, who was my equal.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. So where was your first holiday together?
Korea.
Seoul in South Korea.
Yeah, South Korea.
And it wasn't a holiday,
crazy.
it was work, wasn't
Yeah, I was writing a story for The Guardian. The Guardian were doing these series of mega city walks, and they had some of their regular writers, and I was one of their regular writers then, walking across some of the world's mega cities, and it was the time of K-pop, and so I was going to go over and walk across Seoul, a city I'd never been to, and also do a bunch of articles about K-pop. And we had been together a few months.
Yeah, probably 6 or 7 months maybe.
Yeah, maybe about 6 months. But we'd never done a work trip together. And the thing about travel writing is that it sounds super glamorous and like a cushy number. It's definitely super glamorous. You know, you stay in good hotels, everything's kind of put on for you. But it is really really hard work. You know, you get up at maybe 3:30, 4, 5 in the morning. You just run from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. There's no downtime at all. And then you kind of finish late at night, and then the next day you're going again. And normally I would travel with a photographer, and Nick is a truly gifted photographer, but he's a portrait photographer. He'd never done travel photography.
Okay.
So off we went.
And it's a completely different discipline.
Okay, so just to jump in there, what's the difference, Nick?
Between a portrait photographer and a
yeah,
travel photographer?
yeah.
Well, a portrait photographer, you generally got a one-to-one relationship, and you're going to try and capture the essence of a person, the personality, their character. And so we've got time to do that, whether it's in a studio or on a location. However, being a travel photographer, there's other things you need to try and illustrate the story the journalist is writing, and you need to have a very keen eye for what works as a visual representation of that, as a photograph. And I didn't have that as a travel photographer. I just wasn't clued into that.
because he'd never done it before, and so we were kind of, and it was winter as well. It was,
Yeah, it was
really
really
cold,
cold.
really
It
cold.
was a day like today, really cold, grey.
Yeah,
No,
very misty.
no sunshine that was for a whole week, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we were just absolutely wiped out with jet lag.
Yeah.
And so, and we've got some government official with us because it's South Korea, and so people are kind of keeping an eye on us all the time, want to be with us all the time. So we sat in kind of traffic a lot for the first couple of days because they want to drive us everywhere.
And the traffic was horrendous. And so,
Yeah, and so after about a day, I just kind of turned to Nick and I'm like, why isn't your camera out? Why aren't you photographing the shit out of everything?
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and was like, oh, am I meant to?
Yeah. I was on holiday, really.
So
And
he's just taking in the scene.
Yeah, and the thing is, that is the thing, to most people, when you're away somewhere, you would think you were on holiday, but the whole time I was making notes, I was interviewing people, I was figuring out, well, they're taking us here, but is this where we want to go? And I was used to being with photographers who would be, in the case of being in a car, would be stopping the car, would be, doing shots, would be running alongside of the bus, photographing like little kids looking out the window, seeing a really interesting park or whatever. They'd be constantly looking for
Their
images.
mind's on the image everywhere.
Yeah.
Bam, bam.
Yeah,
just
your
doing
mind's
that.
scanning the whole time,
I see what you mean.
And so you just suddenly had to just go
Improvise.
into a totally different
Yeah.
mode and learning curve.
A learning curve, yeah, and it wasn't very comfortable. Because I'm used to being the master of my environment, and I'm getting fine with people and good with people, but in a completely different environment like that, looking for an image or looking, and being constantly on the go, just wasn't really the way I was used to working.
Did you have the right lenses and everything for that?
Oh yeah, that was fine, right?
It was just the mindset.
It was the
wasn't it?
mindset. Yeah, it was the mindset, and actually knowing what made a good travel photograph. The best thing we ever did for me as a travel photographer, was we went on another trip to a place called Rovin in Croatia.
Oh, that was
And
nice.
Jennifer said to me, let's go and have an hour walking around town. And we had a walk around town, and she said to me, look, that would make a good photograph because of this. And that would make a good photograph for the Guardian, and this one wouldn't work for the Guardian, so that would work for the Mail on Sunday, and this would work for the Express. And explained all these things that I hadn't actually thought about. And suddenly it's, oh, okay, something clicked in for me.
And I'm not a photographer, but I know what a good photo is, and I can see a good photo. I can't take it because I don't have the interest or the skill to be able to work all the various apertures and all the rest of it. But I absolutely know what a good photo is. And also, the thing about travel photography is that you need to see certain types of images. You need to see that blue sky. You want to see people smiling. You want to see something that says something about the destination.
Yes.
And travel writing is the same. You need all that information.
Nick touched on something there, different kind of photos for different papers. What are those qualities or those things that you would look for different papers, from, like, let's say, the Guardian to the Daily Mail?
For photos?
Yeah,
or
for photos.
copy?
Well, I'm going to let you all answer that bit if I can. because for instance, some publications want scenic shots, to set, say, big scenic shots. Some want shots that are people having fun. Others want to see the journalist doing something. So, it's trying to understand that what your market is, and then shoot the shots that suit that. But also at the same time as well, trying to look for the creative shot that you might be able to use yourself later on.
You see, you did know.
I didn't know.
But also, you've then got the thing, the Guardian is going to want young couples and young mixed race couples. You don't want to just see white people, so they're going to want to see a variety of faces. The Mail on Sunday is going to want older couples. The Sun is going to want families.
Okay. So
And
they know their niche,
Yeah.
in other words.
Yeah, they know. When you work for a newspaper, so I work for the Times, and I spend half my life in meetings hearing about research, about circulation and demographics, and it's a real science, you know, and not just newspapers, the media in general has... Whoa! Just for the listeners there, we just did nearly smashed into the back of a truck.
Yeah, the guy decided he wanted to park. He decided he wants to park, and then he decides he doesn't want to park.
Having a moment.
Yeah, okay.
Having a moment. He thought he was going to pull over and see the Will Smith quote, see the Will Smith clip, but then changed his mind and decided he was running late.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you two are really a perfect couple based on what you do, and I see the way you even juggle in this interview, the way you're talking with each other and allowing each other perfect time to speak. Very good. So how long have you been together?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
Simon,
10 years.
Attention.
Yes, I was. 10-year anniversary. Just double check it.
But do you know what? It's also because we met when we were older. And so, you know, we are both an older couple.
Yep.
And when you're older and you've done a lot in life, we've both lived overseas, we've both done interesting things and are grateful for the opportunities and experiences we've had. But you learn to recognise that to share your life with somebody who supports you, who encourages you, who respects you, is
who loves you.
Who loves you, definitely. And fancies the pants off you.
Who fancies you as well, yeah.
That is
even at our age.
That is a massive gift, and it's something that has to be nurtured and valued and you have to make time for it. And so, yeah, we spend a lot of time telling each other we love each other and being interested and talking to each other, because when all's said and done, you know, you can go on amazing trips and you can eat great food and you can see great things, but to share it with somebody and to share your life with somebody is the best trip of all, really.
Well, it is, because it bumps the value of those experiences up 10 times.
Yeah.
You know, when you're sharing it with somebody and you can look back 6 months later on or 5 years later on and talk about those shared experiences, you know, it's gold dust. It absolutely is.
But it's funny, you set off in life when you're young and you kind of have an expectation of what your life's going to be and where you're going and what you want. And sometimes there's a voice in the back of your head, a very quiet one, that is actually telling you a different narrative and sending you in a different direction, but you ignore it because it's not convenient. It might be that you're in a relationship and you don't want to split up with that person, but you're being pulled another way. Or it might be that you've spent a bunch of time and money training to be something, but actually in your heart you're really not into it and there's something else. And the best thing you can do in life is really listen to that voice, because life's short.
Absolutely. When I first came to London, I worked in 5-star hotels. I used to wear the top hat and tails on the door of the Four Seasons Inn on the Park, and I was a doorman there. And I was a young guy, early 20s, mid-20s, and I made great money, and it was a really good, fun job. But I couldn't see myself staying there for the rest of my career. And I used to think to myself, there's more to this. There's something in me, I don't know what it is, but I want to do something else, and I want to do something creative, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then when the first time I walked into a studio, a photographic studio, a mate of mine was a model and he was going for a shoot, and he said, come on down. And when I walked in and I saw this shoot going on, I just knew that second there and then, this is what I wanted to do. And I just went 100% to get that, to do it. I focused on it, went for it, and which meant losing and giving up a really good job that, you know, 90% of the hotel staff in London would give the right arm for. And I went for it. Yeah.
And a steady career as well. You gave up that steady career because it takes courage to give up a steady paycheck.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're coming to the end of the journey now.
Yep.
Oh no, the journey's only just beginning.
I like that. You two have been great guests.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to thank you. My last question to you, lovely couple, is what's the impact, the legacy that you want to leave the world?
Well, for me, it would just be, he was a good, solid bloke. He was fun. Yeah, that'd be good for me. He was a good guy. Good friend, good, reliable, solid guy. Was always there for his friends.
I like that. It's said in a true northern fashion.
Was it? Yeah.
Do you know, it's terrible. I have no desire to leave any legacy whatsoever. I just think life's short, you have to live it, and you can't comfort yourself by thinking, oh well, at least somebody will, you know, blah blah blah. I just think you have to live life true to yourself, and then know that when you go, you did the best you could, because doing the best you could is best for everybody, not just for you.
Well, thanks a lot for that. And to the listeners out there, just thanks a lot for listening. I hope you learned a lot about that, from photography to travel tourism and obviously diving. Look out for our other podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where we interview people who've invested in Africa from around the world. Have a nice day. We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.